there was no work-life balance at all. We do like 12 parties a day. Corporate party, kids party, bachelor party, bachelorette party, like nonstop. Thousands of people a week going through the place. And it's in an area where there's like nothing going on.
Live the dream of having a Nerf arena. You did it.
If I didn't do those, I would have had no confidence in starting a business like that.
How many blasters you may have actually had like in the Detroit Dart Club collection?
Probably not as many as you think.
What other memorabilia do you still have from it? Do you still have some of the merch? Do you still have any blasters?
All of my blasters except for one.
I was expecting that to actually be what you pulled out, but the gold also makes sense because it's pretty. In 2014, Connor McGaffey opened Detroit Dart Club, a space for people young and old to battle it out with Nerf blasters in a 4,000 square foot arena. It caught on quickly, and years later the Dart Club moved into a larger space over double in size, also expanding into dodgeball and virtual reality parties. Through it all, Connor was vlogging his experiences as a small business owner and Nerf enthusiast, eventually attending large-scale community events and hosting smaller ones of his own. But unfortunately, 2020 hit the Dart Club pretty hard, and Connor eventually made the difficult decision to close the business that same year. But he continues sharing his adventures on YouTube to this very day. Now 4 years after the Dart Club's closure, I reconnected with Connor to reminisce a little bit. The good memories, the bad, what could have been, and how it shaped him along the way. I hope you enjoy this retrospective, and let me know if you hear what Connor's favorite Nerf blaster is. I thought I already knew what it was, but I guess I was wrong. Connor, thank you so much for joining me today. I've wanted to talk to you for a while about all things Detroit Dart Club and just about your life in general. Before we really jump into it, there's one question I kind of need to get answered from you. So we met definitely at End War 2019 in Georgia. I was in your video. You were in my video. You had the lightning bow. I had the Maverick. Good times.
Very good times.
You were at End War 2018 as well.
Yes, I did.
I was there too. Did we know each other then?
Oh, gosh. It was 2018. I would have been like very new to like the being introduced into the Nerf community. So I probably didn't know all the characters' names of the internet Nerf people. So I don't know. I don't know if I knew you at the time, to be honest. Yeah, I think the
answer is no. You don't have to be like, I swear I did, but I don't think I knew you, and I don't think you knew me.
I knew my like close group of friends from like the area, and like that was it. And they were just like, take my hand and we'll show you a good time. And it was a lot of fun.
And that was your first kind of like big community Nerf event then, right?
Big one, yeah, for sure. End War, yeah, that was very cool. But the whole storytelling, all of it was really cool. I mean, I couldn't believe how many people showed up. And oh yeah, it was fun. Oh, and then there was the day before everything was the
FoamCon.
FoamCon, yeah.
Yeah. And so I didn't realize until watching your video again that you brought all of those pieces of cover, the storage boxes, the storage containers, and that was what we used in the center of like the practice field, right? That was all your stuff.
Yeah, I believe Drac made like a post or something that they needed more like stuff, and I was like, well, I got a bunch of bins and stuff here. I'll just bring it out.
This was also one of my very first big kind of traveling events. So we were actually, whether you understood it or not, in a very similar position.
That was in Georgia, was it?
That was the 2018 was in Athens, Ohio.
Why did I say Georgia?
Georgia was 2019. That was the one where we did hang out.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And that one was goofy fun because your lightning bow, you got your one tag at least. And
I was really happy I went with the lightning bow. That was a lot of fun. I don't know where my lightning bow is anymore, and they don't sell them anymore, and I gotta get it back.
Well, now that we know that, we can stop pretending how long we've known each other. We know it. We know a time. It was somewhere in between 2018 and 2019 that we first came to know each other. So I definitely met you at least once in 2019. And unfortunately, I think that's our only time really crossing paths physically. But ever since that time, I became a pretty avid fan of your channel, watched most of your videos. I can find all my comments to prove that I was following you for a while.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I noticed when you comment, or I noticed when any of the guys from the Nerf community like comment, I'm like, you're still watching, my guy.
And it was after that initial End War, and then through the following one, the 2018 to 2019, where I started feeling more confident about saying, and don't worry, I don't just say this to anyone, this is one of my favorite Nerf channels. because what you were doing was so unique. No one else could really do the same stuff. A lot of people will talk about wanting to live the dream of having a Nerf arena, right? You can ask almost anyone with a sizable following on YouTube, and they will say that that is at least a dream. They would love to be able to do that. You did it. You were actively living that dream, and furthermore, you were documenting it. You were sharing it with everyone. So I could tune into your channel and get live updates about what happened basically this past week. And you didn't sugarcoat certain parts either. You kind of were brutally honest in some cases, and I could not get enough of that. That's how I felt, and I know a lot of other people were really excited when they found that that's what you were doing, including like you started documenting the bigger events again, like End War. So your coverage was really good. It had an increasingly professional tone too. So it was very easy to be a fan of your channel.
I appreciate that. That's really kind of you to say. No, I've always enjoyed posting on YouTube, just the journey in general. What I shared most of the time was like what we did with like the Nerf community, and like Z13 is what we called it. That's a play off of Detroit's area code, which is 313, and
Mm-hmm.
primarily zombie themed Nerf nights. But it was like another world was like literally the business that was run, and that was like the general public and like private parties, and like very like simplistic games, but like very fast paced, and just like corporate party, kids party, bachelor party, bachelorette party, like just like nonstop. And then like there was like the end of the night on a Saturday, which would be like these Z13 events, and that would last like that would be like slower pace, not slower pace, but like longer story driven battles. And I actually didn't even like really coordinate those. That was more of like Tim and Tom from Detroit Dart Talk. But yeah, it was just like two different worlds, but I tried my best to like share the behind the scenes as much as possible.
When people think about Nerf games, your kind of like parties were a good example, right? And it's like controlled space with someone who knows what they're doing, and it's, pretty good highlight reels of them. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden in the same video, maybe you're gonna snuck in, oh wait, what is this other stuff that's going on too? Because sometimes the footage of our events is seen with like kind of the wrong lens. When seen kind of from your perspective, I think it was only being able to be seen like in a positive light. People can obviously interpret as they see fit, but I like that.
Oh, that was always like my intention. I'm like a huge fan of just hobbies in general, and like people who are just hobbyists, and they're always like, I don't care what the hobby is. Usually, everything has like a group of people that are like super into something, and I'm a fan of people that are into hobbies. And so I wanted it to be like almost like someone who hasn't watched haven't been like exposed to people in the Nerf community to watch and be like, whoa, that's like pretty interesting. I had no idea like that was going on. I just thought it was just, the aisle at Target and, nephews and stuff, but didn't really understand that there's like, no, there's a whole community here. When I first opened the business, I didn't know that was even a community. First time I ever did open play, and some people from the community came in and just were just crashing on my blaster like setup. And I was like, oh man, like who are you guys? But eventually they became like my friends, and I really opened my eyes and the doors to like just this whole fun group of people.
You had no reason to go out. They were coming to you because you had a
They found
physical
me.
location. And
Yeah, they
that's
found me for sure. They had been watching me for a while,
mhm,
because they didn't really show up until my second location, because the first location I had was much smaller. It was just like a one arena, like very small. And I know Tim, he's been there a few times. He was kind of like the original guy from the Nerf community, and he spoke for me almost, and like told the Nerf community like it's not exactly what you think for this location. And he still invited people out, but it wasn't until the second location, where it was much bigger, that he brought other people in, and then more and more.
2014, right? That's when Detroit Dark Club, let's call it one,
Yep.
started. Uh, that was just you, right? The one person operation. Did I hear correctly? About 1,000 parties total in that space, like
So
60
that
groups per week.
no. So that space, it was just me for 2.5 years, and I was averaging about like 45 to 60 groups a month, I
A
would say.
month. Okay.
A month, yeah.
Slightly more aggressive it was per week.
No, that'd be crazy. Even, I mean, 60 groups a month was like also pretty insane. Just doing it myself. The most I would do is like four rare cases. I would do five. So you'd have like an 11 a.m. to like 12:30, and then a 2 o'clock to 3:30, 5 o'clock to 6:30, and then 8 o'clock to 9:30. And 8 o'clock, I was like, we're not going later than that. I don't want any like belligerent drunk people coming in. Like I know that there's bachelor parties. That's like that was a part of my like clientele. And so I was like, we're not going late into the night with those. And there's only rare cases that I did another late 11 p.m. And that was like usually a repeat group or someone who I knew. Those were long days, yelling on a megaphone and rapidly cleaning up in between parties and stuff like that. So you kind of got what you paid for it with that building. It's like this big warehouse in Detroit. And it had this really cool front door, which was this like giant graffitied lion tiger mural. They call it the Detroit Chimera. When they showed me that space and that was like the front door, I was like, we got to do this. And that building was month to month rent is pretty cheap. But you also like you're on your own if something went wrong in that place. So like I think it barely had heat in the winter. Like, I mean, like barely had heat. And my space flooded a lot. And then they were like, I was like, hey, my space is flooding. They're like, oh, you could probably hire someone to snake a drain or something. I'm like, all right. They also said they don't care what you do in your space. So I just like cemented those whatever was flooding shut, and I was like, all right. But that building definitely like cut a lot of corners with as far as things being to code. Someone basically got in touch with the news and was saying something about something sketchy in one of the buildings. And all of a sudden, all these news crews showed up, and then there was notices on the buildings, and it looked like the place was getting shut down. And I actually got out of there pretty quick. We're on the news for like bricks falling off buildings and just like sketchy things going on. And I'm like, I have kids' parties coming, and I'm like, can't have this. So I was like, all right. I actually had to cancel. It was like over 80 parties or something like that. And of course, the building did get like shut down for like a year or something like that. So it was a good call to get out of there. Fortunately, at the time, I didn't take deposits from people. So it was kind of just like, hey, so sorry, but we're
Yeah.
shutting down for a bit and finding a new location. And people were pretty understanding. I think being in a sketchy building in Detroit, you kind of like attracted like the cool parents and cool, like it was a cool clientele I had that came in. So they were
Yeah.
all very standing. I don't remember how many months in between locations, but I was like kind of like quickly looking for a new location. Fortunately, like I mean, with that place, rent was like 1,400 a month or something like that. And so like I basically paid all my expenses after like I think it was like 8 parties. So I think my most profitable year was the last year at the original location of
Right.
all years. Like that was like my most profitable year. So I had like some money saved up. I was like, all right, we're gonna take our time. We're gonna look for a new location. I can't remember how long it took. It was less than a year.
I think you announced the second location in about May of 2017, and then you were saying already in kind of like the debut video of like, "Hey, found this new space. Uh, I thought I had a different space, but this is the actual space. We're getting like some scooters out of here, and I'm starting to like book things up for the next month." So you were kind of on it once you showed it off, at least on YouTube.
It's so crazy. I was like not a different person back then, but I was so like in the zone with like my goal focus of just being like, we will find a new location and we will continue. And I did find a new location, and the landlord was like a younger guy, very successful, and he was just like drawn to my like passion to the business as well. And so he was a great resource as far as like advice on stuff as well. Yeah, I basically took half of the first floor of this building. It was like around 6,000 square feet. And the first location I had was like 2,000 square feet or something like that. So it was like triple the size. And I put two arenas in that one. And very quickly I learned that it was still not enough space for how many parties I was booking. Fortunately, like we were just like booking parties really quick, even with the downtime. And I have a lot to thank of like social media for that, like Facebook. That was pretty early on when Facebook like business pages were like a thing, and you could like target people like in your area and hobbies and stuff. So it was pretty easy to like say, hey, we're back. You can start booking parties. Also, this is the space, it's much bigger. And I think it helped having a YouTube channel as well. So I could like post a video of me just be like actually being like, hi, this is my space. I think it was about a year into that space. And then we took over the other half of the building, which was an additional 12,000 square feet. So it was like around 17 to 18,000 square feet total. We were doing fine. And then I remember the summer hit and I was like, shoot, it's like we can't really have a down month because rent was like not cheap. So there was actually a period where I was trying to get out of the lease on the smaller side and just focus on the bigger side. But then ended up just grinding it out and just keeping both sides and started doing like add like a podcast studio. We started doing like dodgeballs, like in addition to the Nerf stuff. It was right before 2020. I started doing virtual reality parties, like private parties, and that was starting to like take off. We had some nights, before 2020 where we were doing Nerf wars in every single arena. Some were doing dodgeball, and then we had some virtual reality parties going on at the same time. We were fully booked out, and those were just like the best atmosphere experiences because this was like a business that I didn't do much promotion of it. I mean, I did like YouTube and social media and stuff like that, but I didn't do I wasn't really aggressive when it came to like promoting the business. It was mostly like word of mouth type stuff. Even if I go to Detroit and like I guarantee you like 99% of the people have never even heard of the Detroit Dart Club, which is crazy because we had, I mean, thousands of people a week going through the place, but it was all just like word of mouth type stuff, but which was cool because it was just like, it's crazy how busy this place is. And it's in an area where there's like nothing going on. It felt very unique. It just felt like no one's doing this in the world, like having this exact experience right now.
Clearly, you paid attention to the first location, how important it was to kind of have that like relationship with your clients who would become repeat clients. And then when you at least posted that, hey, new location, that hopefully some of those people would come back and then they saw the improvements and it's like, ooh, this man is committed. So just the
Sure.
community knew.
Yeah, and yeah, going back to like what you were just saying with like yeah, basically customer service. I had 10 years of customer service experience like before starting the business and just like retail and working in hospitals as a customer service representative, service industry. I just like all kinds of like customer service type jobs. If I didn't do those, I would have had no confidence in starting a business like that. I wouldn't have. The whole goal obviously is just to make sure everyone has a great time and just like you're getting more than you're paying for. And that was always the goal. And just like, and I just knew that if I just followed that formula and give people a unique experience, um, it'll work out. And fortunately it did. And it worked out very quickly, actually. A couple weeks into my lease starting, they did an open house for the whole building. At the time, it was full of artists and small businesses. It was actually a really cool situation that was going on. So I was like, all right, open house, that'll be my grand opening. So I quickly like put like it together with like literally stuff I found around the building, like wood platforms and stuff, and just like shoved them around the corners and got really cheap foam floor from Costco. And that stuff like ripped apart too. And I would just put colorful duct tape over every time it ripped.
I thought it was just an artistic style, but then you
No, no,
explained in like
I
the
liked it. I
second,
liked
yeah.
liked the gritty and sloppiness of the first location a lot. Like it was just it was that felt very underground. Like this is like an underground Nerf war. That was a good vibe in that first one. But yeah, so my I booked like a party from that open house and it turned out to be the directors of they were called Quicken Loans at the time. Now they're Rocket Mortgage. It's the big business in downtown Detroit. At the time, it was like the only business in downtown Detroit that was active. And that business really kind of made Detroit what it is today. Now downtown Detroit's like unrecognizable. I was really banking on just adult parties. I honestly didn't think kids parties would be a part of my business in this sketchy location. I was like, I have a feeling this is going to be for like my age group. Like people are going to like it. Like bring beer and we'll provide the Nerf wars and it'll be a good time. First of all, I saw they came in. I was like, oh, you guys are much older than I thought for like a Quicken Loans group because they all are usually younger people. And then the next day they sent an email out to all of Quicken Loans and I was just like booked out like immediately. So I was juggling that and retail at the same time during the holiday season too. So I just told my boss, I was like, I'm not going to quit on you guys because this is like the worst, working retail, but during the
Yeah.
holiday. But like I right when like, after the first of the year, like I have to do this because I'm like, this is an opportunity and I have to jump on it. But yeah, became full time very quick. And then kids found out about the place. And then parents were like, it's okay to take your kids to this place. And then from there, just that filled up my weekends. So during the week is a lot of corporate outings, weekends, kids' birthday parties. And then it almost always ended with like a 30th birthday party.
I think a lot of us would assume like birthday parties, because of those events, kids. But
Yeah.
like, I mean, but you obviously were paying attention, so I'm not saying that you were misguided at all.
Yeah,
It's
no,
really funny how that
I
worked
mean,
out.
I didn't do any like market research or anything like that. It was literally like I was doing Nerf wars in my house, and it was a time where, I mean, it's kind of similar right now where people are like working multiple jobs just to like pay for basic necessities. We were all stressful. We all hated our jobs. We're all working two jobs at a time, and I was doing Nerf wars in my house, and it was just like, this is a great release. My house is not big. Like, you don't need a
Hmm.
big space for this. And I was like, this could be fun. I'm gonna research if there's Nerf arenas anywhere in the country. I couldn't find any. I think there was one maybe in like, I don't even remember. It was on the West Coast. I don't want to look at it because I don't want to like subconsciously like copy like what they're doing. Like I want to do like something super original. And so it's basically a year of just like planning and just like writing notes and notebooks and just like researching like locations, and then finally found the spot. My age group at the time, we needed like to play. Like there was this like, I was like, there's a big market for just like adults playing. I'm like, it's not a market right now, but I'm like, I know it's going to be a thing. And so that was my goal, was like, we're going to dominate Nerf, and then we're going to like just like look forward and just like dominate the whole like activity based like business. And then everything changed in 2020 when I was like, my rent, I mean, I'll be honest, my rent was like $14,000 a month for that place, which was like daunting once you aren't bringing in money. And I was really happy with myself for like, I called it really early on in the pandemic too. I was like, this is not working. They're talking about people not coming back to the office for a year. And I'm like, that's half my business. I was like, this is,
Right.
and I was like, this is a heavy breathing and touching of surface business. Like, fortunately, I had a good relationship with my landlord. And he was like, just pay me set amount of money. And I was like, all right, I'll pay you that in the next, over time in the next like 4 months. How about? And he was like, fine. So it could have been a lot worse. I did, before the pandemic signed like a 7-year lease. So I could have been on the hook for a lot of money. Don't go with the wrong landlord. Like if the vibes aren't right, like walk away 100%. That's what happened with, I almost signed a lease with someone, and it's just like the vibe was just like not right. And I, at the last minute, I was like, I'm not, no, I got it.
You said you started painting there as well at
Yeah,
that
I think
place
I was mid
before.
painting, and I was like, this is not right. The landlord was just like not helpful with like, he's like, you can build bathrooms. And I'm like, me build bathrooms? I was like, what are you talking about?
I can see how I would be also uncomfortable with wanting to build a bathroom. But one thing that I definitely noticed from a lot of your, not even just like early footage of making the Dart Club, but it's like through the time, as you said, you started adding like the Detroit Dart Talk podcast studio. And as you kept adding more and more parts to your business, I could tell you were always working with your hands. Like you talk about how important it was to have that like customer experience, and clearly you had the experience to, come in and be like, this is what's going to keep people coming back and have a good time, and how the business will kind of make or break based off of that. But you always highlighted a lot of the physical labor that you put into your business, and sometimes just watching that made me think like, woo, you were the one who was building stuff, moving things around. It was very physical, right?
Very physical, yeah. And it was physical. Your voice gets like stronger. Like right now, like even like my body's like totally different now as far as like kind of hear like I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit just from having a conversation for more than like 45 minutes or however long. Back in the day when I had my megaphone, I could be yelling in a megaphone for 12 hours. Yeah, it's nonstop running around. You're scooping darts with a squeegee. Found that was the best way to do it. Like it's just quick and easy. But yeah, you're running around cleaning. I mean, you're moving stuff around. I mean, the days went quick. It was like an adrenaline rush. I mean, because it was like my baby, and like,
Right.
just, I mean, like I got so much energy off of other people's energy, and just watching people have like, just like jumping and screaming like when their team like knocks down the final target, and just like people are like screaming like
Right.
adults. I'm just like, this is exactly what I'm going for. That was the one thing I was like, I didn't know like how to go to the next step as far as like opening up like another location. I was like thinking about it, but I was like, I don't know. Yeah.
You did start hiring some person. I know you mentioned someone
Yeah.
who did start helping out with the party, so I could see that you were still doing some of the parties yourself too, but you were starting to maybe see, yeah, what direction you could take if you like more
Well,
people got on board.
I had to hire right away because I
Space.
could do two parties at once.
Yeah.
I've done two parties at once. It's not ideal. The whole hiring and being a boss thing. I think I was a good boss. Like as far as like I was pretty chill, but as far as like hiring, I would hire like anyone who would like talk to me, and so that was a mistake too because you'd get people that were like, "Oh yes, I can do this," and then you put them behind a megaphone, and they're just like, "All right, everybody." We had some really great people that worked for the company. Dakota, for example, he was a manager, and even when he started, he was very quiet, and I was like not sure. I was like,
Hmm.
oh, man, you gotta like really step it up. And over time, he like really stepped it. Hey, he was great. He was a great manager. And then like I even had some guys from the Nerf community help out every once in a while. We had like Matt Sparks. He was always at the Nerf events and he helped out with some parties. If I was in a pinch, the Nerf community really stepped up and was like, "Yeah, we'll run a party for you." It was really only on the weekends is when I had employees. During the week, it was just me. Because we wouldn't every rarely we'd be double booked during the week, but Saturdays and Sundays we do like 12 parties a day.
Yeah. Long days. So you've shown kind of in some of your footage too, like going out in front, setting up the signs for like Detroit Dark Club, getting
Yeah.
everything ready, and then at the very end of the day, it's all dark. Go and take them inside, which for not living somewhere that has any snow, seeing all the snow in your videos is always a nice little reality check.
Yeah, those streets did not get plowed either. So when I would, tell parties like, hey, like don't drive your little cars down this street, like they will get stuck. And
Hmm.
so on big snowy days, this only happened like handful of times, but like, Dakota and I would take turns like just like shoveling sidewalks and shoveling the street, getting people in and out while trying to do parties and like it was a grind for sure. But I think those are like the kind of things that like make small businesses and just like I don't know, they at least make the stories better. Like I
Yeah.
earned a new location from grinding it out at the old location, and then I don't know. I feel like the stepping stones of running a business in Detroit.
Yeah. But you never slowed down, like the point of there was still plenty of work to do. There was never like finally I made it. Done. Like we're done. Like you basically, yeah, everything lived or died off of whether or not you could continue to entertain and host the same kind of memorable parties. And every group's a little bit different, right? So you got to make sure you're
Sure.
watching out for those like signs of people going too hard or certain people that, yeah, I guess on the older side that may have had a little too much to drink. And I do not envy that position. I'm very curious about it. And if I had lived anywhere closer, you can believe it that I would have been there to see it myself.
Yeah, it would have been cool. I would have been very interested to see what the business would look like a couple of years after I closed it. Because I mean, the VR was like really starting to take off. So I don't know what that would have looked like. But the business itself, yeah, it was definitely in a good spot.
The work-life balance that you had then, you talked about how you go all in, right? Which is, of course, important to make the business
Yeah.
work. I'm sensing a lot of work. Not sure if I'm sensing the balance so much because of how long the days were. What time existed kind of outside of like the dart club? Because you said it's a full week
Right.
thing, weekends, weekdays, like
There was no work-life balance at all. Uh, the gym, no, the gym there was actually a very unhealthy time where I was living at the dart club. I did not
you
post
did
that.
mention that. You did.
Yeah,
Yep.
I would have loved to like put that on YouTube, but it was illegal what I was doing. I didn't want my landlord to know I was doing it.
It must have been one of the videos you took down then, because I remember hearing it at some point somewhere. I guess whatever the case, allegedly, maybe I didn't hear that once. Who could be sure? I don't know.
May have been, but that if I vlogged that would have been some interesting content. But yeah, no, there was I think it was like 7 months I lived there because when I had the whole first floor, there was like a couple months where we were like just slow or just like not like just paying the bills was like difficult. I have an apartment that I'm there like just to sleep. I'm like, what's the
Right.
point? So I was like, all right, let's just live there. And then and I was living there when COVID happened. So I was like, oh gosh, I was like, I don't know if this is healthy anymore. And then that was like when I called it all, and I was like, all right, now I gotta like live somewhere. Yeah, no, there was no work-life balance. So that was like kind of like a thing that happened when 2020 happened, and like, everybody had this revelation of like, work-life balance situation. And
Suddenly you're at work. There is
yeah,
no balance. Yeah,
yeah,
officially.
so for me, like, yeah, I was when COVID happened, I was like, how do I save the business? Like, what do I do? PPP, like all this stuff was like stressing me out. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, and so when I called it, fortunately, my brother-in-law had just started a cool business called Firefly Drone Shows. And he started a couple years after I started my business, but I helped them out a few times for some events and stuff, but it was very much like the very beginning stages. And so I remember when COVID was going on, or just starting, I had a bunch of parties just cancel. And this time around, I did take deposits, so I had a return deposit. So I was like, oh gosh, oh boy. I was like, how many do we have on the books? And I was like, oh boy, we have like over 60 parties booked. And I'm like, let's calm down. And then like
Hmm.
a couple hours later, like bunch more people canceled. And I was like, shoot. So I called my brother-in-law who has the drone show business. I'm like, are you getting like cancellations? He's like, we just had 3 cancellations. Like we're like kind of stressing out. I was like, all right, let's go like my parents' house. Let's have a whiskey. Let's like talk this out. But it also like opened my eyes. I was like, all right. I jumped onto Firefly drone shows pretty quickly, so there wasn't really much time in between the business. Now with Firefly, that business has grown a lot over the years. There's still that not a whole lot of work-life balance, but at the same time, I'm not like I don't want to say like a prisoner of being inside this warehouse in Detroit, but I did not leave that warehouse in Detroit except to maybe like go to like maybe meet a friend at a restaurant in Detroit that's like pretty close by and stuff like that. But if I did travel out of state for anything, which was very rare, I don't even know when I did that, but I feel like I did that once. And I just remember being stressed out because people were running the dart club and I wasn't there. And I was like, I know I need to let go, but I was like, I don't like this at all. That was a great chapter. I'm not gonna like be sad about it. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, poor me. Like that was a good life experience. Like that was a hell of a life experience. Next challenge, what we got to figure out what our new passion and goal is or whatever. Usually if there's something that catches my eye, I'll just like jump on it and do it. Going to Firefly was a great transition as far as something that's also very startup. It's like hardcore working as well. So it was like I'm used to that. I'm used to this now. But we get to travel a lot, so I get to see like the world, which is very cool.
It's a complete change too from, by the end of the Dart Club, as you're just saying, like you're kind of like a prisoner there, whether like quite literally or just like in your mind. So I can see how the
Oh yeah.
change from then, like you now get to travel everywhere and you've gotten to share a lot of that in your videos.
Yeah.
And it's
And,
like obviously pretty fun on its own, but going from like that major change is probably a pretty amazing thing.
it's crazy. It's like I feel like I've lived 10 lifetimes already doing that. And then also I did the whole van life thing for a year where so after I closed the dart club, I moved into my grandma's house and helped take care of her for a while. And then from there, I sold all my like everything I owned because I was like, I need to pay off like the dart club debt from whatever, and then was able to buy a van and converted that, and then lived in that. But that was also like I could do that because we traveled a lot with work, and I was staying in hotels half the time, anyways.
Right.
But that was also a fun experience. But yeah, going to Firefly was just it's been really cool, and just to watch it like grow and grow and grow. We just moved into this huge new office that's just like whoa, this is like a real company now, or it's been a real company, but now it's like this is a big step.
Your background, you didn't have a background or correct me if I'm wrong, a super strong hobby in like cameras, videography, you
Yeah,
did, or
so cameras I've always like really enjoyed. So in high school I would like be the camera guy for all like the my friends' bands and stuff like that. And then my freshman year at Ferris State, I did their like film program, but it was like not a good program at all. And then I went to Michigan State and changed majors to like kinesiology. So I was like, I'll do physical therapy because I like sports. Makes no sense. And it was totally like a mistake, but it did motivate me to do the dart club, I guess. So
Yeah.
it
There's
all kind of worked.
all these little pieces of like, yeah, that was a dumb decision, but I can see how all of those kind of shaped you into like the next chapter, which is what I found
Right.
so interesting about the, yeah, like the photography or just like a general interest in cameras, because obviously that led into you wanting to document kind of like your dart club stuff.
Yeah, once I started the dart club, that's when I got really into cameras again, like really into it. And that's like, I would say that's definitely like my biggest hobby right now, as far as like obsession. But yeah, I really enjoy cameras and I really enjoy just making little 1 minute sizzle highlights at the dart club and just like I could just pump out videos like easily. But it was all good practice for what I'm doing now, which is basically 1 minute videos and help grow Firefly's socials to like, I mean, let's see, TikTok, we have 1.8 million followers. Instagram, we have like 810,000 followers. And we have like a dozen viral videos, a couple of them over 30 million, one over 50, and one over 66 million or something like that. I haven't been very good at building my own socials, but at the same time, like it's fun to know that like, okay, I can make videos that will do well somewhere, but it's been cool to help grow the business. I always think about because when I started at Firefly, that's when TikTok was really taking off. And I
Right.
always wonder like, shoot, I wonder what the Dark Club would have been like if I had my hands on TikTok when it was taking
Hmm.
off. So I feel like it would have been a totally different thing. I am confident it would have been like a big booster, but it is what it is.
So the dart clubs were a good practice for like the video work that you kind of do now. And I do find it really funny how you said it yourself, how like you can kind of predict a video that's going to go viral for like Firefly drone shows, which has got to be just the most like mixed feelings when you then look at like your own channel of like, yeah, okay. But also it's like, but it's for your work and you're still enjoying it. So it's
Yeah,
not like you're
honestly,
sad.
it's interesting because like my YouTube channel, I think I could easily make it a bigger channel, but if you click on any of my videos, it's almost like it's not what the title or like the thumbnail is even about really because they're all kind of all over the place. I could easily be promoting being like my thumbnails being like we flew 1,000 drones, but if you go on my YouTube channel, you don't even know that there's like drone shows even happening. I want to like promote it in the video, but I don't want to be like obnoxious and be like almost like trying to like um I don't know, take advantage of the company I'm working for by being like, look, I
You
don't
did
know.
mention kind of early on how like you didn't want this to be a complete behind the scenes of like Firefly drone shows, but it's not like you're hiding that you work for them or you're even hiding like these are our drones, like don't look at these. Well, actually you should look at these, but don't look at them.
Like it to be something like the Dart Club where it's like you get more out of it than what the thumbnail and
Hmm.
title. It's just like, oh, this is not what I thought the video was. Sometimes people are like, I don't like this is not what the thumbnail and video is.
Hmm.
It's like clickbait or something. And
Way
it's
worse examples out there though. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I just don't know what to title. Honestly, I also don't know what to title my videos because they're all pretty random, unless it is like just like straight up drone shows or something like that.
So what kind of inspired you then to do the vlog style? Because obviously that's persisted now, like you started by vlogging your experiences, right? You got you talking to the camera, you've got the B-roll of of the games or just B-roll of you like doing something. Obviously you put more and more effort into those over the years from location one to location two, more in van life as well.
Yeah, at the beginning it was just kind of like business vlog stuff. And then like once I got introduced to the Nerf community, it was almost just like this is like behind the scenes of just like this Nerf community. And then, my input every once in a while. And then after the business closed, I was like lost. I was like, I don't really know what this channel is anymore. And then I was doing like some like long exposure, yep, light painting and
Yep.
Detroit. And I was like, that's kind of fun, but no one was like really cared. But I was like,
You
I like
changed your name on Instagram and I
Instagram.
had
Oh, Happy Ghost.
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had no goddamn clue who this person was at first. I was like,
It's funny because
wait,
like
who is
the
this?
Dart Club, yeah. So I basically took the Dart Club name and changed it to Happy Ghost stuff, where I was basically going to these warehouses in the middle of the night and doing these like long exposure ghosts, and we call them happy ghosts. And I had some people that were like, "You have to do this. This is like the coolest thing." And I was like, I like it, but I was like, you can't really do more than just this. So I was like, and I'm like kind of like ADD in a way where creatively, I guess, where I'm like, I don't want to just do the same thing over and over again. So I was like, we're not doing that. So I just changed it to my name. So basically, the Dart Club is basically just my name now. Yeah, as far as the YouTube channel goes, yeah, even like when I started doing the van life thing, that's when the channel like got a little bump in like viewers and subscribers. It was funny. It was like it got. I was like, whoa, we're skyrocketing, and then it stopped on a dime. And then to this day, it's like it'll go up and then it'll go down. It'll go up by like 3 followers. Like it's just like totally stopped, which is like it's fine. And those videos were like I made those very like fast paced, like 6 minute vlogs, like very low attention span, just like quick, like edits. And then I started doing like slightly longer, and then started doing more like travel vlogs, I guess is now what I do for the most part. Only because I don't have time to do anything personal in the summertime. It's just straight up traveling and drone shows and drone testing and stuff like that. So maybe in the fall and winter I'll do more personal creative stuff. But right now it's just like I'm just kind of like letting it happen where I'm like, we're just traveling and doing drone shows.
But you're doing it because you enjoy it, right? Like
I
you
do it,
mentioned that
yeah.
obviously like it can be frustrating for anyone who like they want to grow their channel. You know,
Yeah.
you want to have people enjoy your work. You want to see like a little bit of growth from it too. You want your time to kind of be validated is how I kind of see it too. But
Yeah.
you enjoy it.
I no,
That's matters.
that's why I still do it for sure. It's like I enjoy doing it, and now that I have like people I work with like that will make appearances in the videos, it also like helps with like the vibes at the office and stuff. So it's kind of something for those guys to look forward to as well, and it's pretty fun to get their input. Like they're like, I was laughing so hard at this part, and like I don't care so much about the growth of the channel and like the analytics too much, but I really enjoy the comments that I get in the videos because they're usually like I mean, I haven't had a negative comment in a long time, which also shows that like it's not really being pushed to new people. I enjoy the comments. They're always pretty fun.
Yeah, no, I 100% feel that. There's one thing you mentioned kind of like for your videos that has always stuck with me, so I wanted to ask you about it.
Yeah.
You've mentioned the importance of kind of like how music plays a role in your videos, and I've seen that, you know, because it's not exactly like hidden in the background. It's very much upfront.
Yeah.
And you said like I don't use epidemic sound for this like one reason, blah blah blah. So like what is your approach then to kind of music? Because I think you said you didn't use epidemic because it was not enough like vocals.
Elevator copyright free music, like elevator music. Like it just was just is corporate music. Here is hip hop music. Like, and it's like, no, this isn't really. So I use Artlist. I like the music in Artlist. I don't like promote them that much because I don't know. Their website is kind of finicky sometimes. And then if you have customer, like I remember I had two accounts, and I was like, oh, I need to cancel one of these accounts and just do the one pro account here. So I told them, I was like, hey, like, I just saw you guys charge me for a full year, like yesterday. Like, is there a way to like refund that? I'm not using that account. I meant to like cancel it. And they're like, no. And I was like, I hate you now, but I'll still use it. I'm like, I'm not gonna like say good things about you. And then even recently, they had this new tool called voiceover AI. And so I'm doing a video for our system, and I was using this voiceover AI, and then like it took me a long time to do. And I remember they're like, we need this video tomorrow. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna add a few more parts. And they didn't have like that voice anymore in their catalog. And I was like, hey, help, what's going on? And they were like, we don't have it anymore. And I was like, I hate you. So I did the voiceover myself with my own voice, and actually was much better, but in using an AI voice. Artlist, I don't know. I really like the music on their platform. I don't like them though.
Gotcha. I understand now. I've been using Epidemic for a few years now. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, all right, fine, Connor. Tell me then, what's so important about like this other group that you're using? And now you say you hate them.
But Epidemic might be like fine these days. I mean, it's been so many years since I've even given them a chance.
You know, Rise, a song now.
Yeah, but
no one can hear you. It's all Epidemic sound. No one can
I am a big believer though in music in videos. I think music in an edited video is the most important part of a video. You could have cell phone footage, and if it's edited correctly, like to like cutting at the right parts, right timing, but the music like is just well paced and just like hits the vibe of the video. That's all you need. Some of our most viral videos are like cell phone footage videos, but with the right song. Every once in a while, I call them dirty edits, where it's just like we're just gonna throw some cell phone footage in. We'll throw some professional stuff in there too, but it's gonna be like this is just for social media. This is gonna be kind of like it's gonna hit differently. And those videos, like you can almost like tell when one's gonna do well. The one we just did that went viral, I was like, there's no way this is not gonna do well. And it did do well, which is great. There are times I am wrong though, and I'm like, ah.
You don't share when you're wrong though. You just say when I think this is going to happen. That's the power of editing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Tonight's video I'm posting, it either will do very well, or I don't think it'll go viral, but I think it'll do well, or it might not do well at all. I don't know. I think it'll do well. It starts off with like a dog. My formula is you got to have the first clip has to be something interesting, and I'm like, that's kind of interesting. And then again, music. I think I picked a good song for it, and then it just has to have good pace. 50-50. We'll see what happens.
All right. I made a note to check later. I gotta
Yeah.
check and see if you're good on your promises.
It'll be in 30 minutes is when it'll
Ooh,
be.
all right. Live reaction. Well, that's not how instant success, maybe not.
If you watch my videos, every once in a while I'll use the same songs in these like videos. So every once in a while I'll get a comment where someone's like, oh, like I'll like recognize this from your last video or whatever. And I'm like, that's cool. When there's an edit that is like I really like, it's like it feels really good just to like post it. Even if it doesn't do great, I'm like, that's a really good video. I'm like, I'm proud of that.
I swear we were talking about, for my audience, still cares somewhat about Nerf as well, but I always find this is the reason why I keep watching you right after the Dart Club closed down and you started posting your other stuff. And some people are like, oh yeah, I'll still be here. And I was in that camp. I was like, I've found what you've done interesting and you continue to keep me interested ever since. But I'll go back a little bit to the Dart Club because there were some things now that you've had time to reflect, right? It's been just over 4 years. You made your official I'm closing the business video on September 3rd. So we're just past the 4-year mark of that one. So you've had time to marinate with these thoughts on what worked best and what didn't. Best and worst party blasters. Like is it good dart types, good ball types, magazines, no magazines? What is it? You're starting a club right now. What are you getting?
It was kind of like if you went to the dart club towards the end, you would almost be a little underwhelmed if you're in the Nerf community, if you saw the blasters we're using. A lot of it is just front loading blasters. We are using the regular like Nerf darts, well, off brand, but like the blue darts. A few mega blasters, and then rival. So we use those 3 ammos. I noticed in Target recently they have now like the shorter darts and stuff. And
I was going to ask you about that.
We can talk about that in a minute, but yeah, I was like, oh, interesting. Very simple blasters. We were actually using some X-Shot stuff. A lot of like just the pull back and shoot pistols. Can't remember the name of them, but I think they had like 8 rounds in them. But just front loading stuff. Always try to have a bow of some kind in the arena, just because that people loved using bows, even though they broke all the time. I think we had lightning bows and we had the thunder bows. Thunder bows broke easily. Lightning bows were awesome. Those are remarkably durable. If they still made them, the purse guns, I forget what those are called.
Oh, the like 4-shot one.
It's
like flipped open.
It's like a purse, and then like you like press a button and it turns into a blaster.
Yeah.
My favorite blaster of all time.
All right.
It was not very good, but it's just like fun to demonstrate for people. Just like, and this may look like a purse, but actually Nerf gun. I'm trying to remember what rival blasters were. Oh yeah, the Artemis. That was
the Artemis and the Hades, that being the bigger one.
The Hades, that was a pain in the ass, I remember, as far as like that thing jamming up and stuff. Even the Roto Fury, I mean, running a dart club, you got to be a professional at unjamming things as fast as possible. And I was so good at unjamming things as fast as possible.
Keeping it simple has definitely become a clear lesson that you got to learn quickly about that stuff because I think a lot of hobby people when they think about like oh arena and like the cool stuff you're going to use like this stuff has got to be resilient or it's got to
Or prep
be
and stuff, and
super
like
cheap and easy to replace.
so I always gave people a couple minutes before each round to like set up their bins. They were given like I think like 10 bins that they're allowed to like move around, or you could even take the lids off and use them as shields if you want, or whatever. But I gave people time to like set up. So they had like ammo bins full of darts and stuff. So people would just like scatter stuff around. And there was a lot more blasters than there were people. So like
Good.
if you ran out of ammo, you just throw them on the side. You can grab other blasters. And my games didn't last very long either. Each game was like, I found the sweet spot was like 2.5 minutes. Anything more than that actually feels a lot longer because
Hmm.
it's a lot of running and squatting. And you would start a round by being like, we're gonna do a 90-second practice round, where basically it's like 1 minute. That's it. If you're shot, you just respawn your base, just run in and out. There's no winner or loser, but you're trying out the blasters and you're getting a feel for things. And I'd be like, and when I blew that whistle, I was like, that's an example of what 90 seconds feels like here. And people were like, holy crap. Also, after 2.5 minutes is usually like when you have to like now reload all the blasters. So
Right,
now
you're actually out.
there's a
Hmm.
dead time, and then I get uncomfortable with dead time space, and I'm just like, I'm like there's if you can end the game in under 2.5 minutes, like that's like peak fun as far as like attention span and just like for this is all again just for like general public hasn't touched a Nerf blaster and since they were kids. I also let people bring their own blasters if they wanted, but it was when people brought in like the automatic blasters like Rival. I forget what they were called, but like the big ones, or even like
Like the Prometheus, the Nemesis, yeah, the 100, 200 round, yeah.
yeah, those were just super unfair. And like, and I remember we'd use them sometimes, but usually I would only allow those for like humans versus zombie mode, where for our games, the
Yeah.
zombies had blasters, but it would start with one person as a zombie and everyone else was a human. And you couldn't cross the center line. Basically, if you're shot by a zombie, you join the zombie side. Zombies won 9 out of 10 times. And usually what happened is like
How
everyone's
it
at the
should be, in my opinion.
exactly. And then like there's always be like a couple of people hiding in the base and then like everyone's a zombie in 20 seconds you can cross the line and take out the last humans. And that was always just like a fun, just like yeah, we didn't provide automatic the fully auto blasters. It's funny, when I first started the Dart Club, it was all like, magazine clip type blasters and they just jammed all the time. And I remember there was like very early on, it was like no one's shooting because everything's jammed up. And I was like, this is not good. People are like, what the hell? This thing sucks. And so it's like, all right, we're gonna get simpler and simpler, and eventually it's just all just like front loading blasters. And then like the Road of Fury and stuff like that, where it's like, all right, a couple blasters that I'll like explain to people. I really enjoyed the Mega line. I know
Nice.
that was never used really in the hobby as much, but I just like the hearing them whistle and like just the bigger darts, and you just
Hmm.
every once in a while get a comical someone getting just plonked right in the forehead, and it just like
It's fun when you can see it. Bright red dart as well is just easy to
exactly.
see.
It felt like almost like a sci-fi like laser battle almost, where you
Hmm.
see like the pew pew pew, but you could see the red
Yeah.
dart whizzing by, and it's like, and so being able to see it and hear it like when you're in battle, like that was always a lot of fun.
There's so many different dart types then that, yeah, I could ask you, have you seen this? Have you seen that? But on that note, have you heard, have you seen, are you familiar with Mega XL?
No, I
It's
don't think so.
probably not something you would see in stores now, but then I
Okay.
feel like it is my duty to at least show it to you. Something that may have been taken from us too soon, uh, potentially.
Okay.
So, Mega XL, as the name implies, it's mega, but it's bigger.
I was just say,
So,
are those true to size that picture?
these are my fingers. I think would have crushed it for what
Yeah,
you were
I would
doing.
have gone all in on those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
find a good discount or literally, ask the right person. They would have sent
When I see
you
those, I
guys.
think of a gameplay where there's a target that basically it's too heavy to knock down with any other dart but that.
Hmm.
That's what I'm picturing right now. One of the most fun parts of the Dark Hole is coming up with different gameplays, but I can just see like one target,
Oh,
just like you can only hit it with the XL Mega.
sorry, they kind of show it on the back
Yeah.
too. Like you can
Oh, so
see the
it's
little.
significantly bigger.
Yeah, I don't have any of the blasters in my possession, but you should have seen how big those things were. You probably could have had ones that worked for you. It would have been
Yeah.
interesting to see how the younger folks may have used them, but I'm sure the adults would have loved them.
So I was in the Target Nerf aisle recently and got me on this whole nostalgic kick. And then you actually messaged me like I think the next day or that night or something, and I was like, oh man,
Always watching.
yeah. But I was looking at the Nerf blasters and I was like, these look like third party blasters kind of like they looked kind of cheap to me. Whereas the third party blasters looks almost like not as third party, I guess.
I'm assuming you saw, yeah, if you went recently, you saw the N series stuff, which definitely were, as I like to imagine it, it's kind of like Nerf is reinventing their 8 plus category, but they literally reinvented their dart as well, which has had some mixed feedback. I think like if it was in your case, like if you had gone all in on like that dart type for the dart club and you had the blasters, it'd be one thing. But for folks who have had other darts around for ages, it's obviously not landed as nicely, but it is really interesting to hear your immediate feedback on like what is going on here. And then you see
Felt like
directly next to them is like more other company stuff.
yeah, it just felt like when I had the Dart Club, they would have some like cheap stuff every once in a while, but like they also like it felt premium almost like their paint jobs and like
Mm-hmm.
plastic felt premium, even though they broke all the time. They just like had like a premium look to me. Like I like the red and the blues, and I don't know. It just felt like I think once they started doing like Fortnite blasters, I was like, all right, so they have the cartoony looking ones. I don't really like how those look. It didn't seem like they had like a premium line in that aisle.
Yeah.
They did have rival blasters, but again, they looked like okay.
I guess the big takeaway for you then is that Rival still exists. The new ball types, I think some people think they're way better and some people think they're just fine. But I guess the point is like if you were still kind of operating under the like, oh, Rival's a staple,
Yeah.
you still have options, which is great. I think a lot of people still really enjoy Rival blasters, especially
Yeah.
for like reusability of the ammo
Yeah, rivals
balls.
definitely worked in my business because the arenas weren't like huge.
Hmm.
So obviously like they go to a distance and then they like kind of like almost stop on a dime or like they slow down significantly. But it was all very close quarters in our arenas, so the rivals were just like perfect.
A lot of new dart catching devices too that would have been fun to test out at
Okay,
your location too. Some first party and others homemade style. So
interesting. What did
yeah,
those look
the Dart Rover was like just after. Was that just after I think the club may have closed down the Nerf Dart Rover? I don't know if you heard about it ever, but
I don't
that
remember.
one was kind of funny just because of how bad it kind of was. But in the perfect condition, it may have worked all right.
I would like to I like the idea of having one of those as like a comical like little robot buddy kind of going around and like we're like, yeah, it's cleaning up, but really we're still probably using squeegees
You
to
give it though to a kid
yeah,
and they feel empowered to pick up ammo. Like I'm sure you came up with creative ways to have people pick up stuff, but there's something about even like all the games that I've gone to in the past years when someone sees like this little like maybe cheap vacuum-esque dart picker upper, they're like, "Can I use that?" Where like they would never offer to just pick it up with their hands the same way. So
yeah.
I don't know.
I was always very weird when it came to cleaning up at the end of the party. I was always like, no, I'll do it. I don't know why, but I was
Mm,
like, it always felt weird to like have the paying customer clean up the place. That was also a time when people did like the cake and presents and stuff like that. And I was
got
like,
it.
go do your thing. Like
You
we
could kind of
basically
fit in, yeah.
had every like minute, like down to the like minute. 90 minutes is up. All right, group picture, do cake, and we give ourselves an hour and a half in between parties at this point. So it gives them time to like do the cake and presents and they're not rushing each other. And it gives us time to like clean up and not also be like super in a rush.
Can you think of like at its peak how many blasters you may have actually had like in the Detroit Dart Club collection? Maybe some of them are broken, but like do you
Oh,
have some number that's like we had this much?
probably not as many as you think. I had like a back room where there was like a graveyard of blasters, and
Hmm.
the community would come in when they came in. I was like, have at it.
Yeah.
You can just have them, and like they would fix them up and like use them for their battles. And they're like, sometimes they'd be like, you want it back? And I'd be like, sure, but it's just gonna get rebroken and then endless cycle. But gosh, I would say a little over 200 maybe. something like that.
Okay.
Uh,
That's yeah, that is actually a reasonable number, I guess.
or something like that. There are times where like we'd have like huge parties, and I feel like we don't have enough in here, or like I wish I had more. But I remember I had so many of like the X shot, like just like front loader pistols. Those were great.
Pretty
And they're,
inexpensive as well. That was X Shot's kind of like claim to fame and still arguably is.
yeah, I was like pretty impressed with the power of those, and they were cheap and they were durable. And I was like, these are kind of great. I think there was a point where we weren't even using Nerf blasters for the like elite style darts. It was just all like X shot and off-brand stuff. But we used obviously the rivals and megas for Nerf.
Were you constantly buying all that stuff yourself, or were you getting like some sponsorships from companies or donations?
I was doing it all myself. That was probably where I was like not business savvy, where I could have easily gotten stuff for free. But I just was like, I don't have time to like figure all that out. And it's in the grand scheme of things for a business, it wasn't that expensive as an expense. And looking back, I'd probably be like, man, probably could save a lot of money if I was a little smarter.
One thing that's definitely changed nowadays is that you have so many options for darts, and because of like the growth of those other companies, there is a good amount of competition that's kept them like a little bit more affordable. So I feel like I can imagine what kinds of darts you would use nowadays that you'd be able to source from quite a few different areas. I'm curious, you said you did see like half darts a little bit.
I
I
saw that and I was like, oh,
don't think that would make its way into your usual rotation at
it
all.
would, but I just thought it was interesting. I was like, oh, okay. So they're like listening to the community because I know you
You
guys have.
probably saw some, right? Like in
Yeah.
2000, yeah, up to 2020. You were really close to the explosion. Like the big like peak of things, or the crescendo of everything was like late 2020 was when Dart Zone kind of released like half darts in like
Okay.
their blasters. That's when things really took off, which again, yeah, it's like right
Yeah.
right after everything like officially kind of closed down for you, unfortunately. Pretty obvious of like, yeah, that wouldn't be good for you now, especially when like, oh, the offerings like this one shoots 200 FPS. It's like cool that that exists, but not for like the Dart Club. Like
No,
some
no,
people
no.
think that's like, oh, that's gonna change your games forever. No, no, no,
Oh
no.
yeah, people would say a lot of stuff like you should get this and that, and I'm like, it just won't work. I do love that they're always coming out with new blasters. Any of these companies, because like that's also changes things up, keeps things fresh with a business like that where it's not always the same.
The one thing for half darts is that we've been able to get quite a few for like I'd say a reasonable price, not like super super cheap, but you can get quite a few right even in your hands. And like maybe they'll last a little bit of time. So that'd be the
Yeah.
one thing. But the problem is, on average, all the blasters are just they're a little too powerful, and yeah, it really just comes down to what do you have already, and are you going to change your entire like dart ecosystem? And half darts have really taken over in a new way that they were definitely not didn't have the same kind of like uh foothold they did in like 2019 2020, but now it's kind of like a staple, and some people are definitely like, oh, I feel like I can't do anything without half darts. Like we have club
Okay.
bins that are basically all half darts, and don't even get me started on explaining to you what half dart is the best, because there is no answer and the comments will be fun.
So it's like less variety then of ammo that's being used, or is it
In some
or is
cases,
it like
yeah,
if you like don't even think about competing if you don't have a half dart blaster.
the thing
I guess we're at this point we're talking about the competitive
competitive
team battles.
even for both. I mean, that's the funny thing. Like for when the HVZ games do allow for half darts, the benefit is that you can store more of them on your body. So people like to run those magazines or even just like dump pouches because half darts take up so much less space, and they can make their blasters like more efficient. You can shrink the blaster, you can do more with it
They're
and
just like
shoot
unstoppable.
more ammo. Yeah. So I'm trying to put myself in like your position of like if I had taken a break for this long
Yeah.
at that point in time, and now I open my eyes and am reintroduced, like what kind of shock value would there be? And I think you kind of explained it just by walking down that Target aisle. Like that's the first
Yeah.
step in being just like, whoa, what is on the shelves right now?
So okay, so that's evolved. Has the hobby itself like grown? Like is it like gotten bigger with like as far as like numbers of people?
I'd say so. I'd say, and more large scale events are popping up too. So like if you found yourself with a free weekend, as we were discovering, it can be difficult to know when that might be.
Well, but I'm optimistic that something will click one of these
Yeah,
days.
there are more invitationals that are popping up in different parts of the country or international if you're feeling adventurous.
Yeah.
I may not have the full list of those ones, but there are just more of these kinds of events that are being run by local groups that are looking to have like not just a single day event, maybe, but like a weekend event. So you come for this game on the Saturday and you come for this game on the Sunday. And maybe if we've really got the resources and we've really got the pull, the manpower, the team behind it, we're setting up a convention or we're moving things around so we can also have a Friday event.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to go to like another N War. It's unfortunately like at the worst time of the year. Like it's always like what on the 4th of July almost, or like right.
It passed, yeah, has been.
That's like our busiest time. I think I was a zombie briefly the first year. I remember I made it pretty far. It was like like towards the end of the last day. And in the second year, I think I made it really far.
Yeah, that's where we were meeting up, yeah, at the very end when it was getting real dark and we were hiding in the
Yeah, that
bushes.
was
Yeah.
fun.
We're playing at that point, but hey, we're still alive, so you can't say that we're doing it wrong.
Oh man, that was so much fun. I think if I would do it again, I would volunteer to be a zombie maybe, just because I never got to really experience that. I think that'd be fun.
It's fun. You have the lay of the land, like you get to do whatever and you constantly keep coming back. It's fun to be able to, yeah, play both sides.
I will definitely do another event. Like I just don't know when. I've been getting the itch to like go back and have fun with Nerf blasters.
There it is. There it is. That's what I needed to hear.
I
The
would,
man has got the itch.
I don't think I'd do another business, Nerf business, but I definitely want to like participate and get back into it. And the Nerf guys, the local guys, they text me every once in a while. They check in, and I haven't been very good at like reaching out.
I understand why you might not want to start another business, especially if you have a perfectly fine, enjoyable job that you are clearly having like success with. I know you posted videos of you visiting the first location a couple of times, and I always found those really funny because I'm like, man, I would never be walking around here at the times that you said you're walking around, but you never did it, you never showed it for the second one. So have you done the same kind of like reconnaissance?
Not in the last like 2 years, but I would pop in every once in a while after it, only because there was another business that took over the smaller half of the dart club. They did like a gaming cafe, so it's like a bunch of video games and stuff like that. So I just pop in every once in a while just to like kind of like see what the place is doing and stuff. Unfortunately, they closed their business too, I think a year or two ago, but I haven't been in the building in a while. I haven't been to Detroit in a while, which is kind of a bummer. The Russell Industrial Center, that's a fun place to kind of explore at any hour, really. It's just like a warehouse with like some creative people in there still.
We can't have another Detroit Dart Club if you're not actively going to Detroit. So I guess that, yeah, that does kind of settle it. And I made sure to bring out all the fun, the stickers I still have, and I would be wearing the shirt or like the long sleeve, but it's summer. It's too warm. So I can't represent the same way now, but I did make sure to get in on your final drop just before all that closed down. What other memorabilia do you still have from it? Do you still have some of the merch? Do you still have any blasters? You mentioned no lightning bow, but
all of my blasters except for one, and that was the gold X shot.
All right, okay.
But then I went thrifting 2 days ago and got some mega blasters here. I have no ammo, but they were like $2 each, and they work fine.
Oh my, of course it's on.
Got these guys here.
You really are attached to the Thunderbow, at least.
I do. Yeah, I saw that. It was like $2. I was like, come on, gotta get that. Like
you really do have the itch.
Yeah, no, I did. I was like, I'm going through a big nostalgic kick right now. I got like some Nerf blasters. I bought a old VHS TV from an estate sale, and then just bought a whole bunch of VHSs. So going through something right now with the with the nostalgic stuff. But I got to get some ammo.
Yeah.
And our company is it's just like a bunch of young guys that are like in their mid-20s. I feel like we got a new office. I feel like we got to have some Nerf wars in it or something.
I would like to point out it's been like the entire recording until I've said this, but you're wearing red, I'm wearing blue. I've kind of got like a whole blue thing going on there. You just pulled out
I
three
did.
Mega Blasters
I'm
that
team red.
match you.
Yeah.
There was no conversation about this. I just do find that quite amusing. Oh, and the Mega XL is
I gotta find a Mega XL. I gotta look that up.
you pulled out the X-Shot ones. One thing did come to mind. While you were in your van life,
Yeah.
X-Shot sent you a package, which I thought was really funny because they still managed to like send you, I think it was the Phase box, the Phase like briefcase
Oh,
box.
that's right.
You
Because
clearly don't have it because you would have pulled that one out. I was expecting that to actually be what you pulled out, but the gold also makes sense because it's
oh,
pretty.
I gave that. I gifted that to someone. I think I gave it to like a cousin or something. I was like, I can't. This doesn't fit in my
Yeah.
van.
It's a little awkwardly large, but it was a cool, yeah, it was a cool piece. So it's nice that they were still paying attention to your stuff
Yeah,
beyond the Dart Club.
yeah. Or they thought I still had the Dark Club, and they're just like, here you go. But either way,
Yeah.
it's cool. I mean, like Nerf never sent. Oh, they did
It's
send
the
me.
same blaster that you just pulled out too, just a
Yeah,
different shade.
yeah. I like the gold.
You may also appreciate the world's smallest Nerf blasters because I think you did have a time where you got the world's smallest squirt gun.
Yeah, I think that's like my most viewed Nerf video.
Yeah. So here
Does that shoot darts?
it does. It does indeed shoot darts.
Whoa.
Those are the darts right there. You load them through the top. They're all the same. A little bolt that you pull back and it just manually flicks it forward.
How far do they shoot?
3, 5 feet maybe.
Okay.
I used him in a game once, and the results were kind of what you expect. I'll send you the video. Well, Connor, I really appreciate you talking to me today. It has been a blast to relive some of the past. Sad that we're not going to get maybe Detroit Dart Club 2.0 anytime too soon, but can't be too disappointed because you're clearly having a good time. And if it does happen organically a little bit in the future, I trust that we will see your announcement and just like way early on when you had to move from the first location to the second, if you call, people will answer that call.
I think at the very least, I can see myself doing like a pop-up at least. Yeah, I also don't like saying having finalities to stuff, so I'm not saying like it'll never happen again, but in my current state, like I can't imagine starting it, but who knows?
Well, again, thank you so much, and we will maybe I'll see you at an event in the future. If not, I know where to find you. Your YouTube channel, you post relatively frequently still.
Yeah, every like 2 weeks or in the summer it's every 2 weeks, I would say, and sometimes sometimes once a week. It's kind of random. No, this has been fun. I'm glad you asked me to do this. I haven't really relived it or talked about it. This is almost therapeutic for me. I feel like I've always kind of once I close, I was like, let's suppress Dart Club stuff and move forward on this new thing. But I think it's good to talk about it all.
There's a lot to celebrate. There's definitely, yeah, some pain with always anything that ends, but like you said, maybe it's not completely ended, just different chapter. But no, I appreciate you telling me all the details too.
Well, thank you.